Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is happening with altcoin season. All right, it is happening with the altcoin chart, I should say. Look, we have been talking about this specific chart for months now, months and months and months and months. And there were times where we did get a little baited, but we also needed more confirmation. We are saying, hey, maybe this is a reversal, but we need to see more confirmation. And we never got that, right? Our bias for this chart has been this whole time for the last many, many months. And you can go back to so many videos where we anticipated to go to 6.5%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have something to tell you. We are breaking out of this zone. If we go back a little bit, we can see that we were here rejecting for multiple weeks, right? And then we did have one nice week about a month ago, but we can see that we actually pretty much closed. We did technically close a little bit above it, but it was practically like just even. Then the week after that, it tried going up higher and it slammed right below. So it was a fake out. It was a fake out. And we saw that we're saying, hey, once we start really dipping below this zone, like that is like maximum confirmation that yes, we will be going down here. And look, this was anticipated and this is calculated by the market makers. Okay. Here's the deal, people. Usually, when you know things are going to reverse in your favor, you see very aggressive movement to the upside. It's very rarely, this slow little potato movement, right? Like even here, when we had some kind of resurgence, we saw that we kind of within 4 weeks, we already just had aggressive movement, 5 weeks, aggressive movement. And then again, we sold off. Here, we were stagnant for so many weeks, went down, boom, we showed, like I said, a little bit of lifeline, but then instantly got that shit shut down. And now we're going down here. Now, I'm not really complaining. And look, also one more example, right? We go down, we start recovering. A couple weeks later, a few short months later, we're already like rising to the top, right? This is when altcoins were practically at its cheapest point, and this is when you could have really started to dollar cost average, right? Into the bear season. You're getting some really good deals. But look, this is the main part I'm talking about, right? Last cycle, before altcoins went parabolic and started to recover for weeks before they really exploded, right? It also played out the same. We started to lose momentum, boom. We were stagnant for a couple of weeks, and then we sold off for roughly 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks. And then 3 weeks later, we are already above the zone. So I expect the same thing. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 3 weeks down and 3 weeks up, but I overall expect for us to be going into this zone over here, right? Selling off for a little bit, and then a couple weeks later, recovering. But once we start recovering, I expect it to be the start of the altcoin season. Now, we are talking also about how we believe Bitcoin dominance, it's near its end, right? It is getting closer and closer. With Bitcoin dominance, what we are looking for is a final push up and then a big break of structure. Now, I believe we are somewhere here compared to last cycle, right? Where it goes down for a bigger retest, right? Because we can see down here, there's actually some type of support. It taps off of this, right? And then we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, we are at the top of this Bitcoin dominance and slams down. Now I'm not saying, 1, 2, 3. I'm not saying in 2 weeks we're going to do that. I'm really not. But within the next couple of weeks, we should be, tapping into this zone, potentially taking out this high, and then starting to reverse, which would line up with our chart right over here, right? It would line up with our chart. Boom, right? Bitcoin dominance goes up for a couple more weeks. We start going back down, right? We start going back down, and then we start slowly recovering for a little bit while Bitcoin dominance starts doing its thing. And then Bitcoin dominance starts breaking to the downside, and then we start breaking to the upside, right? We go down for a little bit, then we start going slowly up, and then we start kind of recovering quicker and quicker for the next couple of months, right? So this is to go down because, like I said, this practically, in a way, like makes the most sense because it does what Bitcoin dominance does, but in reverse, right? So if Bitcoin dominance is expected to be going up another couple more percent, altcoins should be expected to bleed out a little bit more, right? Because we are almost at our final destination with this chart, but so is Bitcoin dominance, right? So we can see that we are almost there in terms of the reversals. We are almost there because once we do this, we have the big crash, kind of like a big crash here. go sideways for a couple of weeks, we are going to be going down very, very nicely. Very, very nicely. And like I said, it all lines up. The altcoin index, right? And this Bitcoin dominance chart, it all lines up very, very well. So, you know, does that mean altcoins are going to be cut in half in terms of price and it's over and doom and gloom forever and this and this? No, not necessarily. In fact, when Bitcoin dominance goes up and the altcoin index goes down, since I do expect more money in this cycle, right, to be happening very, very soon, according to global liquidity, right? I expect, money to be pumping into these charts next week, right? Then, you know, I do expect for altcoins to start recovering, but very, very slowly, right? If Bitcoin goes up another 50K, let's say, I expect altcoins, let's say, render to go from $4 to maybe like 7, right? But then the true momentum is when those charts, the Bitcoin dominance and the altcoin dominance, both hit their peak, right? One will hit the bottom peak, which is altcoin dominance. One will hit the top peak, which is Bitcoin dominance, and then they reverse, right? Altcoin dominance starts going up, Bitcoin dominance starts going down, just like we talked about, right? We can see that in terms of global liquidity, we are right here in terms of the blue at the bottom. The reason why I say this is because, ladies and gentlemen, if we take it from here to here, we can see we're 91 days out. You might be thinking, well, why is 91 days special, right? Because maybe you're a new viewer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we found out with these settings, right? If we take the top of global liquidity and we go to the top of, the charts before everything starts reversing, 91 days, right? 91 days was top, 91 days before things slam down. 91 days from the bottom to here, right? 91 days was the final red candle before things start to reverse. So it is only expected and based off data that we are going to reverse next week. And we are going to be pumping for multiple weeks up until mid-July. Why mid-July? Because we take the top of current global liquidity and we go 91 days, then that says mid-July, right? So that's possibly where everything can change, right? That's possibly where everything can change, because overall I do expect global liquidity to maybe go down a little bit, but then global liquidity to shoot up. And that's probably going to be altcoin season. So we know by the time mid-July starts hitting, that's where the real reversals can hit. And that is going to be 6 weeks from now. So that's very, very likely, right? If we did follow the exact same formula where we do go down for 3 weeks and then 3 weeks recover, that is going to be literally mid-July, right? Literally mid-July. But that, of course, is more speculation, not necessarily confirmed data. But, let's just pay attention to that. And let's just remember the words I said, right? We go 3 weeks down and then start recovering for 3 weeks. That is going to be, like I said, mid-July, which is going to be one of the peaks for the coins. And especially if global liquidity, by the time we have more data, is really pumping hard, then that's going to suggest altcoin season has already started a little bit ago. And we expect altcoin dominance to continue to go up and Bitcoin dominance to continue to slam, right? Bitcoin dominance to continue to slam. So yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Altcoin season is not dead. It is literally around the corner. Guys, if you want to learn technical analysis, learn how to trade, get your portfolio reviewed. This is now the most important time before everything comes to, comes to play and comes to happen. And yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community. Sell and buy calls and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should have, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.